All right, welcome back to One True Podcast. It's Bryce Cherry alongside Zach Smith, as always. Zachary, how are you?
It's a great day. I'm excited. Talking to Jackie Marshall this week, he's like, "This is real. These are Big 12 games. This is real." So good to
Yeah.
have a big game to start things off.
We have Michelle Gardner with us from the Arizona Republic. She covers the Sun Devils. Michelle, great to have you with us. You excited about coming to Waco?
I am. Hey, anything is easier than getting to Starkville, Mississippi. So this is going to seem like a cakewalk compared to that one.
We don't have cowbells either, so you shouldn't need earplugs.
My ears are literally still ringing.
Waco's going to be like utopia next to Stark's Vegas. So. Well, gang, we've got a pretty fun matchup for the start of Big 12 play for these two teams. So Baylor hosts the defending Big 12 champion Arizona State Saturday night at McLean Stadium. These two did not play last year, so it's kind of unique from that standpoint that we're finally getting to see this matchup. And when you talk to the coaches, both of them this week have mentioned, a lot of mutual respect for the other opponent. So neither team is ranked right now, but is there a chance that this could be the game of the year in the Big 12? What do y'all think? Michelle?
Way too early. Way too early. I mean, yeah. We're also looking at Utah and Texas Tech in the same weekend. So I think when it's all said and done, both these teams are going to be a factor. But there's just so many games to go. Let's wait and see how it plays out. But who knows?
Zach?
I see what you're saying, Michelle. I agree. But I also think that it could be a pretty memorable game at the very least. I think back to last year with Baylor. I know, I wouldn't say Baylor-Colorado was the game of the year, but it was certainly
it was
certainly a memorable game, right?
Oh my gosh, in terms of drama and excitement and just craziness. Yeah, I don't nothing topped that in those factors.
Right. And so I think in that same vein, I'm not saying that we're going to get a victory cigar situation this time, but like I could see these two teams putting up like a ton of points, going back and forth, like maybe not a lot of defense, and memorable for just chaos reasons. And maybe, certainly when we look down the road, and are these teams going to be in the Big 12 championship game? Maybe. Will this game have a a factor in that? Maybe. Like Michelle said, it's too early to tell, but I do expect it to be an entertaining game. I'll give it that.
So Michelle, when Zach references the victory cigar, so he wrote about it this week, and I had forgotten about it, Zach, until you as soon as you wrote about it, I remembered. But
because Kenny-Dillingham brought it up, that's why I wrote about it.
Oh, okay. So in that Colorado game, Baylor-Colorado in Boulder, of course, Colorado had a Hail Mary with Shedeur Sanders at the end of the game, and the defense that Baylor was running was called the victory cigar. So
for that Hail Mary play that they allowed.
I didn't know that. So okay.
Yeah, so that did not work out well for the Bears. And Zach was incredulous that dave-aranda even mentioned it after the game. He couldn't believe he told us the name of the
Honest Dave. I mean, it made for a good
he is
tweet.
very honest. So Zach, you wrote that this game will come down to the battle of the trenches, in terms of who wins. For both y'all, how do you kind of see that battle, O-line, D-line, playing out, and who has the advantage?
Well, I agree. Yeah. I agree. And just looking at ASU's offensive line the last couple of weeks, it's been a little bit worrisome. And I think that's one reason that Sam's a little jumpy back there. Sam hasn't had a great couple of games. So he was better last week. But I think there's a combination of things at work. I think he's still trying to develop a trust with his receivers, not named Jordan Tyson. Okay. It's a comfort factor that he can throw it anywhere in the same area code, and Jordan Tyson's going to go get it. I mean, for those that haven't seen him, and you can see the wacky plays, take a look on tape of the touchdown catch he had last week. It was absolutely ridiculous. But I think Sam's trying to develop a relationship and a rapport with other receivers. He can't always be going to Jordan. Jordan's a safety net. But the offensive line at times is not giving him a lot of time to go through his reads and his progressions. So I think that's when you lean to the guy that you know where he's going to be. So, Ben Coleman is new at center. I think everybody at ASU has learned to appreciate the now departed Lee Fotanu, who was there for 2 years. It's one of those positions you don't appreciate till the guy is gone and you're trying to fit somebody else in there. So Ben Coleman moved from guard to center, and that was kind of rough at the start. It's getting better, but they've got 4 returning starters from last year. It shouldn't be that much of a problem. So the offensive line is a little bit, for ASU, worrisome right now.
Zach?
And I think to that end, I do think that Baylor's defensive line is a bit worrisome because, DK Kalu is starting nose tackle, has not been 100% since the Auburn game. And, I know we'll get injury reports here coming later this week, but I don't really know if he'll still be 100%. Jackie Marshall, I mentioned him off the top. He's still not 100%. His ankle was wrapped heavily at practice the other day. And so I think that the ability for Baylor to put pressure on Sam-Leavitt and get, whether the offensive line is good or not, or together or not for Arizona State, is going to be an issue. And then you flip that around on Baylor's offensive line, which, like Arizona State, has 4 or 5 returners, really hasn't been able to get much of a push this season, really hasn't been able to establish a run game. I think the stat that I might, best I can tell, Baylor has 2 runs this season of 20 or more yards, 2 total running plays of 20 or more yards. And I know that's a big number, but like 20 yards is a big number. You're not seeing those every play, but I think that's telling in that they're just leaning on the pass game, and that's something they can't do against, Arizona State, who, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, has 3 pretty good running backs that are going to control the pace of this game.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting dynamic too, because it looks like Kyson Brown was running back number 1, and he was out last week with an ankle injury. He did practice this week. Raleek Brown has been kind of a revelation to everybody. Now, Raleek, they list him as 5'10", but he's not 5'10". He's more like 5'8". He's very small. And there were a couple runs he had last week where he literally moved the pile, a la cam-skattebo, which that's not easy to do. And I said, I don't know how a guy 5'8" can move the pile, but he did. And he's got an explosiveness, and that was the big whole talk. And I'm sure y'all heard it too. ASU can't do anything without cam-skattebo. It doesn't matter who they return. And trust me, the running backs that are left here kind of took that to heart. And if you look at the numbers, it's basically been running back by committee, and it's just a different type of offense. Now, where I think they missed cam-skattebo is when you got the ball second and goal at the 1 or third and goal at the 1, and they couldn't punch it in against Mississippi State. I think that's where cam-skattebo would have got the darn ball in the goal line. But yeah, Raleek Brown's got an explosiveness to him. He's shifty in one cut and he's gone. And that's something that ASU didn't have last year, because Raleek Brown was on the team, but he had a hamstring issue basically the whole season, so he had to take a medical red shirt. But Raleek Brown adds a shiftiness, an explosiveness that running back room did not have last year.
I'm trying to debate whether I should pick up cam-skattebo on my fantasy football team. But
it's always about fantasy football with you, Bryce.
Well,
he's I tell you what, Cam is a man. Like, how do you not root for cam-skattebo?
Yeah. I love that guy.
Plays, the underdog dynamic, and just the fact that his name is Skattebo. Okay,
yeah, it's a great name. It's a great name.
How do you not love cam-skattebo?
Yeah, no doubt. Zach, to your point, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate. they have not torn it up. You're right, thus far on the ground, Baylor. That said, obviously, the Samford game was a big step in the positive direction. Now it's Samford. You have to, take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But at the same time, and we've written about it, those first two games, they found themselves trailing a lot on the scoreboard. I do give Auburn a lot of credit for taking the run away. It was better against SMU, but if I had a college football fantasy team, I'm still pushing my chips all in on Bryson Washington. That dude's a stud. So I'm not really that concerned about Baylor's running game. I think it's going to be fine. He'll pop some long over 20-yard runs. There's no question. Over the course of this season, it's going to be fine. That's my take. So Michelle referenced Sam-Leavitt, Arizona State's excellent quarterback. I got a chance at Big 12 Media Day to kind of be in that scrum and talk to Sam for a story. And I just came away very impressed with his poise. You're just kind of unflappable up there. So, Michelle, just how much of a difference has Leavitt made to this Sun Devil program?
He's been everything. I mean, and Kenny goes back to last year, kind of the turning point game. And remember, he was a first-year starter, redshirt freshman, didn't play a lot at Michigan State. So last year was his basically first taste of college football. And it was the Kansas game, I believe, which was game number 5, I believe. And ASU, that was a lot of lead changes in that game. And ASU got the ball back with a minute and a half, and they needed a touchdown to go ahead. And Sam drove them the length of the field, and they scored the winning touchdown with, I want to say, 16 seconds left. But Sam said to Kenny, "I got you, coach. I got this." Like, just, and this is a kid that had, to that point, had played 4 or 5 college football games. And he said, "Coach, I got this." And he did it. He drove them the length of the field in a minute and a half, and they scored with, I think, 16 seconds left to win the game. And then I think the Utah-Kansas games were the kind of turning point for this team, because then when you look back to last year, they got better and better and better. Like with every game, they kept getting better. And when you look at the way they were playing at the end of the year, if there's the targeting call that didn't get called, or they can make a 4th down stop against Texas, who knows how far they would have gone, because there was a belief with that team that we can do anything. And I think it was really good for the Big 12 for ASU to show like they did, because with the way the Big 12 had been being dissed basically all year, the last thing the Big 12 needed was for ASU to get in that game and get boat raced, because then everybody would have said, yeah, it's the Big 12. So I think that ASU showing out the way they did kind of helped the Big 12. But to your question about Leavitt, yeah, he's that guy. He's kind of got that swag, and he's kind of got that mentality that, yeah, we're going to do this. And I think Cam kind of had the alpha dog mentality, and Sam had it too. But Cam was the guy that got the focus for being that. But I think Sam is that equally. And now we're seeing that this year with Cam gone. Sam really is that alpha dog in the room.
So here's where I'm going to give Zach Smith some props. Zach, mark the date. So outside of Tempe, Arizona, I don't know that anyone was higher on Arizona State last year than Zach. He was ahead of the game on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was quite fascinating. And I think it all has to do with the fact that Sam-Leavitt is a former Michigan State Spartan, which is Zach's alma mater. Is this true?
Michigan State Spartans and swag. I mean, like, sign me up. I mean, that's a perfect description of Michigan. Like, swag. Like, that's what you think of when you think of me as swag, right? So
yeah. Oh,
well, you know why Sam couldn't stay at Michigan State?
He had too much swag.
Because Jonathan Smith didn't want him when he was at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Sam wanted to go to Oregon State. And I remember I did a big piece on Sam. You have to look it up. I did a pretty comprehensive piece on Sam to start the year. Talked to his mother, his father, his high school coach, and his brother. Okay. And basically, Sam had gotten injured playing basketball because he's a stud basketball player. You should know that, of course. So that shouldn't surprise you. But he had gotten hurt playing basketball. It was nothing major, but it was kind of like a little bit of a shoulder thing. So when he went to Oregon State I don't know if it was official or an unofficial, but he went to throw the ball and he didn't throw the ball great. And Jonathan Smith just said, sorry, like we just, he's not our cup of tea. Sam's high school coach literally said, that's what several teams that came through said, he's not our cup of tea. Nice kid, but he's not our cup of tea. So of course, when Jonathan Smith takes the job at Washington State, you really think Sam's going to stay there? Play for a coach that literally didn't want him?
Yeah, no doubt. Wow. Yeah, he saw the writing on the wall for sure.
I mean, it's worked out for him. And I think going back to watching some highlights from that Texas State game, that touchdown pass that you mentioned to Jordan Tyson, he looked like a basketball player on that one. Like, it was a little jump pass that went for an incredible touchdown. So, I mean, yeah, swaggy Spartans. That's what you can expect at McLean Stadium this weekend.
When I did write the Leavitt story, which certainly wasn't as extensive as the one that Michelle did, no doubt. But I did look up some like YouTube highlights and stuff of Sam playing basketball, playing, high school football. Yeah, dude's an athlete for sure.
Well, going back to another Sam story that you guys will probably really appreciate. So if you want to go back to the Utah game last year, that was the game he got hurt in the first quarter and he cracked 2 ribs. Okay. We didn't know it was cracked ribs and a punctured lung, by the way, too. So I think they were up by 4 points at the half. And he literally texted his brother who was in the stands. It's like, dude, you need to get down here right now. I'm having trouble. I'm spasming. My muscle cage. I'm having trouble breathing. So Sam's brother's in the stands, fights his way down, hurdles over a fence, works his way past 3 security guards. Wow. And the only reason they let him in the locker room is because the backup quarterback was standing there and he vouched, yeah, that's Sam's brother, let him in. So Dallin goes in there and Sam's all hooked up to some healing device, all these things that they have or whatever. And so Sam's like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm really hurting. I just don't know. And Dallin said to Sam, what do you mean? You got to go win the game. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Unhooks the machine, goes back out there. And then they had to play kind of a conservative second half, but he basically was playing with 2 broken ribs and a punctured lung. So that's Sam.
That's old school football right there, baby. That's great stuff. Wow.
I do have to give some love, since we're on the quarterback train. I do have to give some love to Sawyer too.
Well, sure.
I see a lot of similarities there. It's like Sawyer really wanted to go to Texas Tech and they didn't want him, So I think there's a chip on both of their shoulders.
Absolutely.
At least, and now they're both, look at them now. They're both leading teams that, have pretty good shots, have better than even odds to get to, or not even odds, you know what I mean? They have a good shot to do some things this season. So it's a good story for both Baylor and Arizona State.
No doubt. And here's what I'll say about that. Like, it's always fun in the conference when you just have loaded quarterback play. Like, it's that way all over the Big 12 this year, and that makes it fun. I mean, the offenses are explosive, to say the least. So we do have a long Big 12 season coming up. Obviously, a lot is going to happen between now and December 6th. Michelle already mentioned it. It's way too early, but we're not coaches. We don't have to take it one day at a time. So if you're forecasting it today, and nobody's going to bring it up if you're wrong, we'll only bring it up if you're right. Which 2 teams do you think end up in Arlington for the championship game?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
I hate to root against the home team, but hey, I'm just kind of looking at this realistically. And I think when you look at what ASU did last year, they got fortunate last year. Okay. They got fortunate in some of the teams we thought were going to be good, like Utah, like Oklahoma State, like Kansas, or they weren't that good. So ASU's schedule set up for them pretty nicely. And they were also fortunate enough to kind of escape the injury bug. Other than losing Sam for one game and Cam for one game, they got away pretty good on that account. Now, this week, just so you guys know, they're going to be missing 2 players in the secondary, which does not bode well. So Xavier Alford, who's their preseason all-conference first-team selection, he's out for what Coach said, at least a few weeks, which isn't good. And they've got another guy, Montana Warren, who's kind of their backup guy at every basic position in the secondary. He is, we'll see what Kenny lists him on the injury report, but I'm not expecting to see him either. So, and then they've got a couple other nagging injuries. So this kind of isn't starting out to be a draw that's in Arizona State's favor as far as if you want to look down the road. If I had to put money on it, take it to Vegas, I would go Baylor and Iowa State. And I say that because in looking at the schedule, Iowa State has ASU at home, but they do not play Utah, they do not play Baylor, and they don't play Texas Tech.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and we don't know if there's going to be somebody that's going to, sneak up on everybody. But if you're telling me I don't have to play Utah, Baylor, or Texas Tech, I think your chance, and you play ASU at home, right, I think that your chances are pretty good. So that's why I'm putting chips in on Iowa State. And then when you look at Baylor's schedule, kind of the same thing. They get ASU at home, they get Utah at home, but they don't play Iowa State and they don't play Texas Tech.
Right? Yeah.
So that's my amateur opinion.
I'm going to get to mine, but I'll just little sneak peek. Basically, you stole my answer. Zach,
then let's make it a full agreement that Iowa State. I think Iowa State is going to get there. You don't have to. Matt Campbell is a Midwesterner after my own heart, and I've long held respect for him and his ability to find those diamonds in the rough and build them up into NFL players. And there was a lot of questions in that secondary coming into the year, and I think they may have found something there. So that's that. I really like, and I know I cover Baylor. I really like Texas Tech. I was very curious if this experiment was going to work, spending all the money, bringing in a bunch of transfers, big names, splashing the cash, making a big deal about it too. And I just didn't know if that was going to click. And I know 3 games into the season, I know they haven't played, the hardest schedule. True, but
you're absolutely right. They haven't played anybody.
They've looked pretty good, and so we're gonna learn a lot this week when they play Utah. That's a huge game because I think Utah is another contender to get to Arlington. But I really like Coach McGuire. I really like Baron Morton. And I think they have a good defense. That was already there before the transfers. And again, they don't play Baylor. They don't play Iowa State. They have a path that if they win, especially on Saturday against Utah, they have a path where I think Texas Tech could meet Iowa State in Arlington. That's my pick.
And the other reason I'm also taking Baylor is because they've actually played people. I mean, I hate I've got my own power ranking that I do, and I've got Texas Tech number 1, but I'm still on the fence with them. I think they're a good team, but how do you know when you haven't played anybody? So I think Baylor, having been really tested in 2 games, I think is going to further them down the road as far as playing against the better teams in the Big 12. So that's another reason I'm favoring Baylor.
What she said. I mean, basically, you took everything else. That's completely right. I have the same questions on the Red Raiders. I do think, they look good, but how much can you gauge out of who they've played? Baylor, I think, the adversity of the Auburn loss It's, looking like Auburn's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The comeback against SMU, I thought, I wrote at the time, I thought that revealed a lot about Baylor's character, and coming back and winning in double overtime. Still have a lot of doubts and questions about this Baylor defense. So, here I thought I was going to be the only one taking Baylor to get to Arlington, but I do think they're going to be capable of winning a lot of shootouts. As Michelle said, I think the schedule breaks in their favor. But it's going to be wide open again. I think going into near the end of the year last year, there was 7, 8, 9 teams still alive in the Big 12 championship race. Everybody was having to check the tiebreaker scenarios. It certainly could be that way again. And I agree with you, Zach, that Utah certainly looks pretty stout. And that won't be an easy game for Baylor when they come, to Waco on November 15th. So yeah, because we saw how that went against the Utes the last time. So
good old DeQuan Finn.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, I think Utah always does better to kind of, nobody was really talking about Utah as much as they were talking about some of these other teams. And usually, Kyle Whittingham can kind of lay in wait there waiting. And, he had his quarterback, and obviously that was where they had all their issues last year. So yeah, I'm definitely not counting Utah out either. And it's a whole weird dynamic here now because the expectations for ASU were so high to start the season. And because of last year, and I hate to say some people are off the bandwagon already, but they are, and it's kind of with ASU, it's kind of, what have you done for me lately? And the biggest question is, can they play with the target on their back? Because the history, just so you guys know, the initials ASU actually stand for Always Something University. Okay. So, and it doesn't matter if it's baseball or football or men's basketball. It's just kind of like whenever there's expectations,
it's always something.
It's Always Something University. Okay. So they've been able to fly under the radar, for so long. And that's, who was taking them seriously last year? Nobody. So this year, they're on now the guy where they're circled on everybody's calendar, and that's the game everybody wants is ASU. And now ASU's got to kind of raise the level because everybody else now is laying in wait for you, So, the whole question all along is, can ASU play with the proverbial target on their back?
Well, we'll find out a lot more Saturday and the rest, obviously, of the season. Always Something University. I like that.
Don't you?
Yeah. So if you talk to TCU fans, what BU stands for is it's short for sucks to be you. So there you go. That's a pretty bitter rivalry, that Baylor TCU rivalry. So Michelle, you are coming to Waco?
I am.
Nice. So this is Sports Writers Helping Sports Writers. This is what we do here. Any food preferences that you have, barbecue, Mexican, burgers, whatever?
Well, I'm flying into DFW, and I'm going to stay in Waco. I'm staying like a Hilton in Hampton, whatever, in Waco. So I'm staying in Waco. So Friday night, I'm up for anything. I'm not a huge barbecue person unless it's really, really good. And it's like, Kansas City is where everybody says you go get barbecue or whatever. But what's the go-to spot in Waco?
So
we know in Stillwater there's Eskimo Joe's because that's the only place anybody goes. But what's the Waco?
Well, I do have a pro tip. If you go back to Stillwater, go to Hideaway Pizza. That's so much better than.
Wanted to go there. It was too packed when I went.
Yeah, it's always packed. Barbecue wise, I would say the top place. See if Zach agrees with me. Is probably Hellberg. Would you say that?
Oh yeah.
so Hellberg, Texans take barbecue very seriously, and it's really good. And I agree with you. I love KC barbecue, but Texan barbecue is really really good too. And Texas Monthly is this magazine in Texas, and they do a top 100 barbecue joints in the state, like every probably 4 or 5 years. And Hellberg is the place from Waco that kind of makes the list. They had a fire out there, and the restaurant burned down, but they've since rebuilt. I would say that's an excellent place. But I mean, I would say barbecue and Mexican food, you walk into any of them in Texas, and you're probably not going to go wrong.
If you're open for more than like a year in Texas, and you're one of those two, you're doing something right.
Yeah, there's a church on every corner, but there's also a Mexican food restaurant on every corner.
I'm all in on Mexican joints.
Yeah, so yeah, I assume you are. Yeah, that's true. But Zach, any place else that she should?
Oof, man, I will continue to fly the Health Camp Burger flag, and I think it's the best burger in town.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take, but
it's pretty close to campus. Health Camp Burgers.
Health Camp. It's not healthy at all.
It's not healthy, but it's like an old school, like greasy spoon kind of place. It's top tier.
ASU's got one of those too. It's called Chuck Box. And you have to go to, and it's literally right on the edge of campus. And it's very limited burgers, hot dogs, but they smoke them on the, it is, you have to go to Chuck Box. That's
tell me that next year when you're on this podcast. Then I'm sure we'll ask that again.
I prefer double R burgers to Health Camp. Zach knows this, but here's the thing about Health Camp. If you go to Health Camp, you can get a burger and a really good shake. They have some excellent shakes.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a few potential places for you, Michelle, but we're looking forward to seeing you here on Saturday. Should be a fun one, y'all. I'm looking forward to it. Hope y'all are too.
No, I think it will be a good game. And like I said, I just, we'll see. I'm interested to see what coaches say on these injury reports. It'll be interesting if 6 guys are listed as questionable, even though they didn't practice all week, and I know they're not playing. But I could actually say Kenny-Dillingham is awesome, and he's pretty forthcoming with things, but he's actually a whole lot of fun too.
Yeah, he seems like one that would be fun to cover. For sure.
I don't know of another team that will whip out a basketball hoop in the middle of football practice, which they did. They literally, a couple weeks ago, no, it was in fall camp, there was a basketball hoop laying kind of next to the side of the field. So we're all looking, basketball hoop? What's a basketball hoop doing there? So sure enough, they get 20 minutes into practice, and he blows the whistle, and they bring the basketball hoop out on the football field, and they're playing some game called Knockout or whatever.
Yes, Knockout.
Okay, so they're playing Knockout, and the position group that won got to pick the playlist for all week.
Oh, I bet that was heated.
Oh, it was. And they're in full pads playing basketball. It was hilarious.
Oh.
And I said, okay, that's they did this for about 20 minutes, and then they stopped and went back to practice. Like it was.
Sign me up for that football practice. That's one I would actually want to watch. That's awesome.
They're a lot of fun. I mean,
that's cool.
Kenny wants the guys to have fun. His whole motto is make good decisions, be a good person, and have more fun working harder than anybody in the country. That's his whole mantra, and he kind of lives and breathes it.
Nice. Clearly. That's probably not Dave-Aranda's mantra.
Probably not.
Zach. No. He's so much more. He's like serious? He's like no football coach you've been around, Michelle. He's so introspective, and it was so funny. We're off the rails now, but this is still worth telling. They have their new thing is this bear coat for the defense if they get a turnover. The defensive guy will come over to the sideline. And this bear coat belongs to one of the strength coaches, and it's a legit, looks like a bear rug, and they put it on, and they pose for the Jumbotron or whatever. So we're asking Dave about this bear coat because they unveiled it in the Samford game, and and he's like, I don't understand it at all.